some years back, I was heavily reading Stoicism stuff. I still look at it, but this was when I was really diving into it, and I was having these thoughts like when I was really starting to understand what I was absorbing, the information that I was getting. I started thinking like, man, if everybody in the world followed this philosophy, the world would be a lot better. You know, a lot more people would be treating each other better. We'd be less focused on things that we can't control. It just seems like our lives would be a lot less stressful. People would make a lot better decisions. I don't know. I kind of stopped thinking on that level, but I still believe that. But what I wanted to talk about today was something that Andy Frisella has been talking about. And he says a phrase, I think it goes, personal excellence is the ultimate rebellion. He's talking a lot about, you know, the things that are going on in the world right now and how personal excellence is, you know, the solution to all of that stuff. And as I really started to think about it and break this idea down, I totally agree with him. And it brought my line of thinking back to when Cub and I first wanted to start this project, this podcast, which was, you know, we were talking about ideas like how do we directly help improve the graffiti culture? Like it was never like we never wanted to set out to change it, because it's not really up to us to change it. But at the same time, we wanted to participate in making it better in some way or another. And so neither one of us really wanted to give people advice and say, hey, you know, you need to do this and you need to do that and all this kind of stuff. But it ended up sort of being this idea that, you know, the best way to really help make a culture better is to help the people within that culture get better themselves. And that's what this show is all about. That's the foundation of what we're doing. And that's kind of why, you know, it's a show for the graffiti culture, and it's not necessarily about graffiti. So, you know, some of the negativity that we hear about the show is, you know, it's not actually about graffiti. You don't hear any chase stories or any kind of stories about graph and stuff like that. And while there's like a couple of them here and there, that's never really been about what the purpose of this thing is. It's trying to deliver this information to graffiti writers that we found helpful. So we don't give advice, and you know, it was never our intention to sort of push any kind of views on anybody. It was just to share stuff that we found helpful. And then if you also find it helpful, then you'll improve yourself. And then we felt like, you know, if that spreads, then the culture would get better. So back to this sort of idea of, like, Andy's always talking about trying to solve these problems that are currently happening. And there's a whole laundry list of shit that I could bring up. And, you know, it depends on your viewpoints on what problems we're facing in society right now. But, you know, you'd probably have to be kind of blind to think that everything is awesome right now. There's a lot of issues. And so personal excellence seems to be, if you really break it down, it seems to be the solution to a lot of these problems. Because, I mean, the way I see things and the sort of the way I've been observing things over 49, I just turned 49. So over my 49 years on this planet, I get the impression that as a society, at least like a Western society or America, or I don't know if this happens all over the world, but it seems like people go into things with good intentions. I mean, unless you're a total piece of shit, which I like to think that those people that are complete total pieces of shit are kind of rare. So a lot of times, you know, we'll see an issue and then we'll all, you know, a bunch of people try to correct this issue, but it's kind of like a pendulum, you know, it'll swing in this one direction. And then a bunch of people are like, you know what, this kind of shit right here is getting out of hand. So we need to kind of correct this. And then it seems like the pendulum tends to swing way too far in the other direction. So then the solution ends up causing a whole lot of other problems. And then the pendulum has to swing back the other direction to kind of correct the issues that we created when we're trying to solve these problems. And then it's kind of like this weird cycle. I kind of struggle with, like, I know this is very vague, but I just really don't want to like discuss anything very specific, because the way I see things may not be the way you see things, and I'm good with that. But at the same time, I think it's sort of a thing that we do as people. So when I'm breaking down this idea of personal excellence, I started to think like maybe that is the solution to making it so that when this pendulum is swinging and we're seeing issues, on one side of things, and we're like, oh, this is fucked up, we got to fix it. What if the baseline, the center where it's not swinging in one direction or the other is excellence? So if that's always what we're trying to do, trying to be the best possible people that we can in all areas of our lives, I would think that would stop the pendulum from swinging too far in either direction, so that we're all just trying to be the best versions of ourselves. So I don't want this to be super long-winded. So I just want to try to keep this focused on just this one basic concept. But it's like, what if all of us were to strive to be the absolute best we can be? And so I talk about this all the time, the sort of 4 aspects of your life, and it could be your mind, body, business, relationships, or it could be faith, your health, your business, your relationships, whatever you want to, however you want to look at it. I sort of look at it like your mind it encompasses all of that, spirituality or whatever it is you want to think about. But if you try to improve all those aspects of your life, you want to try to make all your relationships better. You want to be in the best physical condition that you can be. You want to be the best you can be, either in your business, as a leader, or if you work at a job, you want to be the best you can do. You could be the absolute best in that position. There's this kind of weird thing that's happening where people are talking about quiet quitting, and I don't know if you've heard of that, but it's this thing where people are like, I'm just going to show up and do the bare minimum. And, part of me thinks like, yeah, well, you do what you're there to get paid for. But I got this email from Tony Robbins, and he was talking about like, it was kind of like, if you just show up and do the bare minimum, then you're actually doing yourself a disservice, because you're putting all this emphasis on, I don't want to give this shitty corporation any more of my time than I need to. But, you could look at it like you're hindering your own growth and your own personal development by doing stuff like that. So if you were to shift your perspective and say, I'm not doing this for them, and I don't know why I'm going so far down this, but it kind of makes sense for people that work a job. It's like, you want to show up and do the best job you can, no matter what the situation is, because that's good for you. You can leave and feel good when you get home that you did the best you could. And if you add that if you kind of add that sort of mindset into any aspect of your life, you want to just do the absolute best you can. How could that not make the whole world better if everybody starts living like that? We're going to start treating each other better. We're going to start striving to be better versions of ourselves in all aspects of our lives. We're going to be better in our relationships. We're going to be better spouses or brothers and sisters and friends and all these kind of things, because we're striving to be the best version we can be. You focus on getting your mind in the best possible shape that you can, then you're going to be out there making better decisions and trying to grow. And then what's the great thing about that is you're going to influence people around you to do the same thing. So if you're out there pushing to be the best version you can be, and you got a little brother and he sees you doing that, he's going to do the same thing. You got a little sister, she's going to do the same thing. Even, if your parents see you striving to be the best you can be, and they maybe aren't on that path, you may inspire them to do that. It really is. I really do believe what he's saying, that he's talking about it's the ultimate rebellion. Rebellion against this mediocrity and all these kind of things that are coming around in society right now, and being excellent and pushing yourself to be the best version of yourself is obviously a rebellion against a lot of the things that are getting pushed down. But at the same time, if you're looking to improve your world, your community, your neighborhood, whatever, it has to start with you improving yourself. So that kind of goes back to the whole idea of what this show is about in general. I mean, like, I would love to contribute to making the world better. I mean, that's a fucking huge thing. But I feel like what Cub and I set out to do was to try to help our niche become better. I think we can do that if we all start trying to be better versions of ourselves. So I don't know. I don't really want to ramble on about this. It's a very simple concept. No matter who you are, somebody's looking at you. If they see you improving, that's going to inspire somebody else to improve. It's going to be an exponential. It's an exponential thing where you can influence one person. They can influence one person. You never know. You might influence somebody that's incredibly influential, and they influence hundreds of thousands of people, especially with shit like social media. Any video could go viral and inspire all kinds of millions of people. You never know. So it starts with getting better yourself and pushing yourself to be the absolute best version that you can be. And there's not really much else to it than that. So if we do that, maybe our baseline will be excellence. The pendulum won't swing so far in one direction and so far in the other. It'll always just settle in the middle, and the middle is excellence. All right.
Appreciate each and every one of you guys who are supporting the cause and continue to spread the love. And yeah, stay up.